All right, welcome in everybody. Today we're going to talk about prepping drawings for LiveCount Cloud and just my process of renaming them, organizing them, and using the couple programs that I utilize to get to that point where I'm comfortable in the order at which the drawings go into LiveCount Cloud. I will show you my process here. So we're starting off in this common program here, which many of you probably recognize, and you probably do this first action if I had to guess. So I'm going to hit this renaming function in there. I'm going to do page region and select. So this is the first step to get the drawing names, because all I have is numbers over here. So if that's the case, this is how you do that. It gives you a preview. You can add selections if you wanted it to say first floor or something like that. You can definitely do. I'm going to hit OK. I want all pages. And since we do have this thumbnail view open, we can see that it did rename those quite nicely. I like that. Worked well. So that part's done. Then I stay in the thumbnail view. I right click and do extract. I want to do all of them. So you got to make sure that page range is good. Couple important checkboxes here. I want to separate them. Yes. I want to use the page label, which, what is the page label? It's what we just created. So it's going to drag that name along with the extraction. If you did not uncheck that, it would not take the name, and it's just going to say something like extracted page 1, 2, 3, 4. It just means nothing. So that one's actually really important. You do not want to open files after extraction. It will try to open all 31 if you do that, so that's typically not good. Last one I leave alone. So I'll hit OK. And I got a drawing folder here I'll pick. And off they went. So that folder is here. And there's my extracted documents. So the next part is probably the more important part. So in this demonstration, I'm just going to randomly group the drawings. But for really the grand purpose, this could be any kind of sorting at this level. You're just trying to organize your thoughts. So whether it's by building the drawings you extract or by area, that part really doesn't matter. I think the premise of how to do it is what we're trying to cover today. This might seem like a pretty generic example, but again, it's just the overall point we're trying to demonstrate. And if you were doing several batches, like in the case of different buildings or areas, you could extract each building set or area set into its own folder from the get-go, and then that would probably save you a little time and energy. But again, we're keeping it with one set of extraction here, but you could just multiply this out at a larger scale and do several extractions that pretty much group it right out of the gate. And then you can do the next phase I'm going to do, which we will get there shortly. So I'm going to do a couple folders here. I'm going to say these are E drawings, and I'm just going to be real generic with my labeling because these are going to be temporary anyway. I'm going to say this is a T set, and then I'm going to do the FAs. And that should get me where I'm trying to go today. So all the E drawings I'm going to push into there. And this kind of goes back to my point where, if you were doing these in bigger, grander extractions and you already knew that the buildings were in different drawing sets, you could have already kind of set this up that way just to save some time. But I sort of want to do this the long way just to get the point across of the organization. And prior to loading. Because I think this is the part where, if you were just to load these drawings into LiveCount Cloud, that's where you really lose control. You can't really sort them within that realm very easily. So it's better just to do it here. Then when you know they go there, they're right. Okay, so here's FA and another E and another T. So how you got to this point, that's the part that I keep saying. That could have varied. You could do other organizational things that you might find easier, whatever. But getting to this point is really where we want to get for now. And if I wanted to double check these, those are all ETs, that's fine. FAs, that looks good. And then the E's, that's good. And I think in the case of this, we have multiple 101s. I do believe one is a new work drawing, the other is the demolition version, so that's kind of what's up with that. So I'm going to push this off to the side for 1 minute. Now I'm going to bring in the real champion of the day, this other program. Now this is what I would call my workhorse. This program can literally do anything as far as renaming a file or batch of files. It's such a quick, clean, simple program. It's fantastic. So I'm going to hit add up here and files. Here's my E drawings. I'm going to select all of these, load them into the program here. Now typically what I do, and again the only reason I'm doing this is because maybe I want the E drawings to go first, the FA drawings to go second, the T drawings to go third. And if I just dump these into LiveCount Cloud, it's just going to use the kind of Windows naming and numbering to then sort the files however it may be. And it would end up like our files were at the beginning, where it grouped the different types of drawings sporadically. I had E's and FA's and T's all scattered about. So this would be if I wanted to control all the E's together, all the T's together, all the FA's together, which they weren't originally. So that's all my E's like such. And mind you, this will keep the original name as well. I'm just going to add a prefix in front of there. So I could do a lot of things with this program, but just to keep it simple for today, I could put words in front or after, or numerical prefix, which I think we're going to go with today. So I'm just going to add an increment number, and I'm going to start at 100 just for the sake of argument. We're going to call this the 100 series drawings. I'm going to check this box just to say use this, and you can see what it did here. It went from 100 to 116, and it just put that in front of the name. So a lot of you out there may have done stunts like this before, where all I'm in reality doing is overriding what was the thing driving the initial naming structure, and I'm forcing a number there so it will see that first and then stay in this order. And this is what the name was prior, this is what the name is going to be afterwards. So that all looks good. And then I can just hit start batch and say okay, and that is done. Now if I look at my folder over here, you can see it did exactly what it said. So now I know I stopped at 116. So now all I'm going to do is target the next group I want. I want the FAs to come next. Seems quite logical. So I'm going to select all those, hit open. And then I'm just going to change my increment number to 117 because I know I stopped at 116. So again, I'm driving the order of where everything is going, and it's going to stay in this exact order. So I'm okay with that. 117 to 122. Start batch. And that one's done. And back to my earlier example. If these folders were groups of, building 200, then building 300, then I would put that prefix in front of it. I would just put 200 in front of each of these. Now, I wouldn't have to do an increment batch. I'm counting these this time, but if I just wanted to, in the example of the building 200, 300, whatever, I'll show you what I could do here. I'll do it to the next one. So I'll add these. I'll do my T drawings next. And I'll show you what that would look like just to give you an example. So I don't necessarily have to count these down. I could put a static number there. And that would look like this. I would just say add to the beginning, and then I would put like this, a 200, and then maybe I'd put an underscore there, and then like this. So if it was the case of having a building area or a specific building name, then I would want to do something like this. Just put add to the beginning a 100, then on the next set I would just back up and say put a 200, and you can see where we're going with this. Complete control over the naming structure of whatever I put these files into. Absolutely love it. So I'm going to go back to what we were doing, to the increment batch here. So the fire alarm stopped at 122. So here I'm going to say 123. Check that to use it. And then I'm 123 through 130. So looks good to me. I'm happy with that. Hit start batch. Start. Okay. Now let's bring our folder back over. And here's our FA. That's fine. So then what I would do, in most cases, I could go to LiveCount Cloud and just load each one of these folders one at a time. That I could do. But typically what I do, just to keep everything kind of clean and simple and prove that I'm going to get the order, is I'll just put these back at the main level. Like so. And I'm cutting those and then pasting them back at the main level here. And then the E's. Put those right here. Okay, so now we're good. So then I could get rid of these folders if I wanted to. Yep, see you later. And now you can see what we've done. And this is great because now we see the fruits of our labor, that I controlled what came first, second, the FAs, and then third, the T's, instead of that Mod Podge that we started with. So not too bad. And you do get used to this program and doing things quicker. It really doesn't take too much time. And I always preach to the folks in our organization that this is worth the time, though. Getting your thoughts aligned, being methodical about how you're setting it up, it's the gift that keeps on giving, because then it is in a logical order that you can work through quickly and you're not chasing your tail looking for things. So it's a quick and easy way to just drive an order of the drawings, and then I think everybody from this point is probably good to go, because then you would just hit the upload drawing in LiveCount Cloud and then select these files and off you go. But the order again is already set and you know what you're dealing with. So with that said, I think that should wrap up that session there. Hopefully that helps out, and then you can kind of get a window into what I do and how I prep drawings and get the order set in which I want.